Time for fantasy football, and Pro Football Weekly is looking at each position. We start with the most important one, running back. And right at the top, we know the names that are going to be there: Adrian Peterson, Arian Foster, and Chris Johnson. Arian Foster is number one on Pro Football Weekly's list. What do you think?
I would not take Foster number one. I understand why he's number one on our list. He had a great season, the best fantasy season last year. But the Houston Texans have a lot of weapons they can go to if other teams stuff 8 in the box and stop Foster. They also have other running backs who they can give the ball to. I just don't see it happening. But again, if you don't get Arian Foster, you can't go wrong at the number 2 or number 3 pick.
Yeah, if you don't take Foster and he has a huge year and you have the number 1 pick, you're going to feel stupid. But if you get Chris Johnson at the 3rd pick, I think you'll also be pretty excited. Something else to look at are the second-year backs. We saw a few of them as rookies kind of break out, or we thought they would. Ryan Matthews in San Diego came on late. LeGarrette Blount came out of nowhere. How do you see those guys doing in year 2?
Well, one guy a lot of people are going to watch is C.J. Spiller. He was the highest drafted of all those guys and really didn't do a lot in Buffalo.
Right.
He had the kickoff return for a touchdown. He showed a couple flashes, but he's behind Fred Jackson. I think they really want to get him involved more. Javid Best should have another good season if he stays healthy. LeGarrette Blount was great at the end of the season last year. Ryan Matthews is in the best situation, though, and I think he might be the best back of all those guys. But when it comes to fantasy, you want those touchdowns, and San Diego gives the ball to Mike Tolbert near the goal line.
Yeah, those vultures always get you. And that brings us to the running back by committee situation. There are a lot of teams that do it. How do you take advantage?
Well, you got to find the teams that make it work. The Jets, the Chiefs, the Raiders last year all had running backs by committees with 2 backs, and all 6 of those backs were worthy fantasy guys. Obviously, you would want a guy like Jamal Charles a lot higher than you take Thomas Jones, but both were solid backs. Those teams have good offensive lines, good run offenses. You look for those teams if you're going to go ahead and take a guy that has a handcuff.
Also, Carolina with Cam Newton now at quarterback, a couple of good running backs there. And finally, we want to look at some of the guys that jumped ahead last year, kind of broke out, and see if they'll do it again. Guys like Peyton Hillis or BenJarvus Green-Ellis.
We get these guys every year, especially at running back. With Peyton Hillis, Madden cover curse. I think you got to count him out when you're drafting. But Hillis, he should have a good season. It all is going to depend on that Cleveland offense. And if Montero Hardesty becomes a good running back in his first year. BenJarvus Green-Ellis, the Patriots love to spread the ball around. They drafted 2 backs. I don't expect a lot of touchdowns for him again this season. LeGarrette Blount, though, and Darren McFadden, both those guys should have even better seasons in 2011.
Yeah, if McFadden stays healthy, he could be very good. That is a look at the running back position from a fantasy football perspective. Be sure to check out Pro Football Weekly for all of the positions.